Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS Inform. I'm your host, Bill Potter. We are meeting candidates who are running for office this year in Dubois County. We're going to meet a candidate running for Dubois County Sheriff, and that is Tim Lampert. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mr. Potter. Appreciate you having me here.
Well, we're glad to have you. First of all, what we'd like to know is tell us a little about who Tim Lampert is.
I am Tim Lampert. I am the son of Dennis and Linda Lampert of Jasper. I married Jennifer Schwank of Ireland. We've been married for 17 years. We have 3 wonderful children, Logan, Caleb, and Lexi. Each one of them in the Dubois and Celestine School District. Excuse me. I enjoy hunting and fishing and being outdoors and working on the farm. In 1990, while I was attending Vincent's University Jasper campus, trying to obtain my law enforcement degree, I turned in my application as a jail officer, and I was, after testing and interviewing under the Sheriff Ambrose Wills, he hired me as a jail officer. So it's been some time ago that I got into law enforcement. And then several years after that, we had an opening for a deputy position under the Sheriff Terry Tanner administration. And that was in 1994. After again testing and interviewing, I was promoted to a deputy sheriff. In 1994, I went through the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, where I graduated with honors. I'm currently appointed as a chief deputy as the Sheriff's Department for the last 8 years, or almost 8 years now. It was a position that was promoted from the peers at the Sheriff's Department recommended me as being the chief deputy. Some of my job duties as a chief deputy are they vary from day to day. I may have to work an accident or take a burglary call, just depending on what's going on, to transport people back and forth to court, or the hospital. You just never know. I also received a lot of grant money. I applied for several different grants through Substance Abuse Council, through the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. I also helped with the Northeast Dubois School with obtaining a grant for a school resource officer. Some of the grant money I did receive, we used it for accident reduction patrol to hopefully remove some dangerous drivers off the road and make our road safer for residents of Dubois County. I've also obtained some different equipment, tasers and things, for some of our deputies up there to make their jobs a little safer for them, and also to help remove some illegal substances or drugs off the streets of Dubois County. Some of my other jobs are being a chief deputy. I oversee the IDACS and NCIC group at the Sheriff's Department, which we have annual audits from the state and federal over the NCIC and IDACS. And basically what that is, it's a national database system. So, and one thing I recommend to people is, if you have guns and anything you have serial numbers on, please write those numbers down, because we can, if someone steals those items and breaks into your house and steals them, we can enter them into a national database system. And what that means is, if that police officer in California comes across that, say it's a stolen weapon or a car or whatever, they can run that serial number and it will show that it was stolen from Dubois County. Which it's a nice system, so we can get the items recovered for the victims here in Dubois County. Along with that system, we can enter people that are wanted for felonies and things like that, and some misdemeanor warrants. So if we enter someone in the system that we have a warrant on, if they're pulled over in maybe Kentucky or Illinois, it will show that Dubois County has a warrant for them, and then we can retrieve them and they can face trial in the court system here in Dubois County. Just some of the few of the duties I have as a chief deputy, also overseeing some of the supervisors, and whether it's the jail staff or the deputies, and then with the policies and procedures at our department. So just a few of the things I do as a chief deputy up there. Also a member of several different organizations. Some of them are like the Fraternal Order of Police, NASP, which is a National Archery in the School program. I kind of got involved in that several years ago. What we tried to do is implement an archery program up at the Dubois School District, so again we could interact with our youth. And I think it's very important that we do that and interact with our youth as much as we can. Some of the other organizations I've been involved in are like NWTF, Dubois County Sportsman's Club, Substance Abuse Council, where I'm the law enforcement representative for the Substance Abuse Council, and also the CARES group. I really feel this day and age, with our youth and what they have accessible to, with the drugs and everything else, and some of the drugs and violence they see in their home and an environment, that it's very important that we stay active in some of these organizations that interact with our youth in a positive way. I think it's very important for us to do that. So over the 28 years I've been at the Sheriff's Department, been in hundreds of investigations, whether it's a death investigations, some major crimes, burglaries, thefts, child abuse cases, and things like that. I believe that we need to continue with our department and all law enforcement agencies. You want to train your officers so they can best serve the community and helping the investigative tools so we can bring justice back to the community and solve the crimes that we need to solve.
Well, I think that, and you have a long history with the Sheriff's Department, so this
Yes,
question, in a way, may be answered. Why are you running for office? Why now do you want to be the sheriff?
I feel I got into law enforcement to protect and serve the residents of Dubois County, and I feel with my experience I can do that. I feel this is an outstanding community that we live in, we raise our children in. I want to continue moving forward and helping this community stay as safe and as help it be the community it has been in any way I can by continuing to give back to the community that's given to me. So.
Now, what are concerns, issues that the Sheriff's Department will be dealing with now or in the future?
We have some, there are some drug issues, and I think every community has some of the drug issues, and we're seeing it in the jail now. The drugs are stronger and seem like more addicting than they were years and years ago, and we have outstanding staff that are working real hard to combat the drug issues, along with the prosecutor's office and the court system that are really doing what they can to help out. I also think we need to continue educating the parents and the signs and symptoms of drug abuse, also the kids, so they're aware of what potential hazards the drugs might have to them, as well as make laws tougher for drugs. The mental health aspect of the jail, right now we currently have a mental health nurse that comes in and talks to inmates, and some of your mental health is drug induced and mental health. So we're continuing to move forward to help inmates that are in the jail for the mental health aspects of it. And I'd like to see that continue as far as helping inmates out. The other one is like the jail overcrowding. Some of the jail overcrowding we see is revolves around your high percentage of drug and alcohol cases, or the addiction that is affecting our youth and our adults, both in general. It seems like some of the individuals, if I live in a household where there's drugs and alcohol, and then the family is supporting stealing to support their drug and alcohol habit, and with the strong addiction to drugs and alcohol, a lot of these individuals, the only thing they can concentrate on is where they're getting their next fix. They're not worried about their family, their friends. They're just worried about how they're going to get their next fix. So if I'm living in that environment and that's all I know is drugs, alcohol, and stealing to get my next fix, I think, and then they have several more children, it's just a domino effect. And I think we need to continue programs and treatment in our facility, evidence-based programs to help change their way of thinking, so they're not just thinking, okay, drugs and alcohol is my only way of life. We need to try and change their way and their actions of their thoughts. To me, if instead of, the jail is the punishment for these individuals. That's why you put them in jail, to punish them. But instead of them interacting with other inmates and trying, hey, you can do this and you won't get caught, or this way is a better way to make meth and things like that, because of with your opioids and your meth and some of your synthetics and things like that are a major problem. But if we can continue and do some evidence-based treatment and get change their ways of thinking, we might be able to make better people instead of better criminals, and therefore keep them out of our jails. So.
What really is the difference between you and your opponent?
I have 28 years of experience up there. I am involved in several different things, from, said I'm an instructor, a general instructor, a firearms instructor, where I've taught hundreds of officers in firearms, whether it's at the academy or here locally, to help make the officers safer so they can go home of a night. I'm also involved in the local emergency planning committee, where we do some disaster training. We have one coming up in October at the the facility over at Huntingburg, we're going to have an anhydrous ammonia leak. So we're going to try and get a bunch of victims. Also, it's going to be good training for not only law enforcement, but for first responders, fire departments, and EMS and things like that. I am a strong believer in, we got a lot of dedicated people up there that are hardworking, and I feel that utilizing their skills and their knowledge to make a more efficient and better sheriff's department, along with trying to promote so they can utilize their knowledge to make the sheriff's department continue to be efficient as possible, so we can help protect the communities of Dubois County community and serve them in the best possible we can. So.
And Tim, now we're going to give you an opportunity to talk to the voters. Your final thoughts on why you should be elected.
I have 28 years of experience at the Sheriff's Department, and I feel I've promoted or helped make this community what it is, and I want to continue to do that. And I would like for you to vote for me for Sheriff of Dubois County. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Potter for having me here this evening, or this afternoon. I really appreciate it.
Well, Tim, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
Our guest has been Tim Lampert. He is running for Dubois County Sheriff in the upcoming election. Make sure if you vote early that you do so, or that if you're going to wait until Election Day you vote. But please make sure that you take the responsibility and use the privilege to vote in Dubois County. Tim Lampert has been our guest. Thank you for watching WJTS Inform. We're local people watching local people.